Welcome back. We are Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news from Twitter, the daily fail, meme review, software releases, hardware releases, and the websites by plebs. That's right. It's like days in a row, sticking with the plebs. Joining us today is fellow Bitcoiner and pleb, Sovereign Stoic. We're going to the numbers. Let's do it.
Number time. Sponsored by... Number Time is brought to you by Bitcoin 2022. It's going to be the largest Bitcoin conference ever. Take advantage of the link down below for 10% off.
All right, everyone. At the time of this recording, the block height is 708,232. The Bitcoin price, 61,270. Chain rewrite day, 776. Total public lightning capacity, 3,175.29 sats per dollar, aka Moscow time, 1632, and the blocks to the halvening, 131,768. Nico, these numbers are so uneventful.
And bro, but I'm kind of happy because, like, imagine all the TA guys trying to pump out content when the day that it's not doing anything.
How's that Glassnode subscription doing that?
No, it's doing great, but that's not what I pulled up today. I actually pulled up some more signal that you guys are going to find absolutely fascinating. And let me pull it up, and then I'll kind of explain what you guys are looking at, right? So check out this graph. And unlike a lot of our TA Bitcoin competitors, I wouldn't even call them competitors because we do different types of show, right? But our TA friends, let's say that, right? Dude, this is a MicroStrategy stock. Okay, so let me break it down, right? Why this is important. So MicroStrategy, so it went public in 1998. This is the .com boom, right? Mm-hmm. Pumped up, crazy valuation, you know, and then he got totally wrecked. He survived. So give Michael Saylor some credit because a lot of companies went freaking bankrupt during the .com boom. But what was really interesting, and this is, and let me minimize this. So this is what is fascinating. Look what happened all these years. This company literally went sideways. Give it to Saylor because it did survive, right? And, you know, and remember, Saylor has said on a couple podcasts that he's looking to retire, but then he found Bitcoin. And look what happened to his stock. Look at this thing. Literally went parabolic. It went from a low of $118, and now it's sitting pretty at $789. And all he did was buy Bitcoin, right? So this is the power of Bitcoin. This is, you saw a couple days ago how Nayib Bukele was selling some of his profits. He wasn't selling any Bitcoin, but the way that the trust functions, that the trust is only needs to have $100 million. So if it goes above $100 million, Nayib Bukele decided to allocate some of that money into building schools, right? You see this story time and time again, whether it's a company, whether it's a country, as soon as they start buying Bitcoin, life changes for the better. Now, the signal that I want you to focus on, right, is that, remember, public companies are beholden to their shareholders. And if their shareholders are seeing MicroStrategy stock 7x in a span of a year and a half, what do you think they're going to be telling? What do you think they're going to be doing? They're going to be pressuring, right, their board to do. Because remember, you have to understand, and Saylor has touched upon this many times, right? What is the other choice? You hold fiat? Fiat loses value, right? You hold treasury bills? Treasury bills have what we were laughing at it yesterday, Phil, a 1.9% interest rate.
Did you see that chart?
Or you hold Bitcoin that has averaged for the last 13 years a 200% return year after year. I don't know if that's going to be in the future, but again, when you're buying this said Bitcoin, it can't be debased, unlike fiat, right? It's deflationary. The supply gets cut in half every 4 years, and that causes a supply shock, which tends to put the price up, right? So people are paying attention. It's not only Saylor. Tesla did the same thing. They decided to buy Bitcoin, and put it as reserves. And I think Elon gave the same reasoning. Why hold fiat if it's losing value, right? So anyways, no speculation there, but definitely a lot of signal. What are your thoughts, Phil?
You know what? Bitcoin is important because fiat is not. Okay, this is the reality of it. So when we talk about this 200%, average 200% annual gain, I want, the way I see it anyways, is that to me, that number represents the weakness of the current system. Every time we see this, like, to me, as Bitcoin gathers strength, that to me is just an indicator of the weakness of the system, right? That's what that is, right? And this is why we need it.
Abso-freaking-lutely. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily Fail, sponsored by The Daily Fail is brought to you by Amber app. Bitcoin made easy. Amber's the easiest way to invest in Bitcoin. Check out the link down below. Yellow, tell them what's going on.
Amber, the smart way to stack sats.
The first Daily Fail is brought to us by, return guest and fellow pleb, Mr. Robot. Tagged us in this. It's everyone's favorite fake tech giant, Elon. What's he talking about? All right, get ready. It's about to get very cringe in here. Let's dive into it. Tesla boss Elon Musk appointed new fake chairman of the Dogecoin board. And I know they think they're being funny, but people don't realize the type of messaging that this sends out. Anyways, let's dive in. Musk named Dogecoin's fake chairman. It all started when Dogecoin co-creator Bill Marcus posted tweets saying meme Twitter handle Greg's term as fake Dogecoin CEO had ended, and he will soon announce who will be the next fake CEO of Dogecoin. Musk responded with an enthusiastic me. Doge, the people's crypto. Musk has a well-documented and established history with the meme coin godfather. Besides his Twitter musings, the Doge proselytizer is also working closely with crypto's developers to improve the protocol and beat Bitcoin hands down. Oh, God, I'm sorry. Perhaps even more interesting, Musk revealed at around the same time the reason why he chose to support Dogecoin, noting that employees at his EV maker Tesla and his space exploration company SpaceX own Doge. They aren't financial experts or Silicon Valley technologists. That's why I decided to support Doge. It felt like the people's crypto, he summarized. Okay, so really? Like, because a bunch of bag holders don't understand what money is, okay, and what censorship resistant is, and what any of these things are, it's time to call it the people's money. I just don't get it. And again, right, like, I mean, we've shown this about Doge in the past, but like, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that their in their case, it's they can always change their emission schedule or something like that. So there's no hard coding to any of that. So again, for people that are storing value, this is not like, why does the people's money need to be shit? Like, you have to understand the message that this is what I was telling you at the beginning of this fail, right? I have another fail coming up, but you know, like what I said at the beginning of this fail is like, pay attention to the messaging. Like, he's essentially telling you that the people's money is complete crap, and you're supposed to sit there and buy it up because he's Elon Musk. Any thoughts before I move on to the next one, Nico?
Dude, what Elon did was freaking unforgivable, man, because there's a lot of desperate people in the world. There's a way out. It requires long time preference, right? It's, you know, it's not going to have the alluring, you know, crazy, huge gains very quickly that the shit coins do, right? But he's giving legitimacy to something that is going to lose value towards Bitcoin, like, over time, right? And again, with that platform, he could have been like Saylor, he could have been like the big Bitcoin people, and provided people with actual hope, right? An actual way to opt out, an actual way to get out of the rat race. He could have promoted Bitcoin, but he thought Doge was funny. I'm sure he got into the pumping and dumping himself. Like right before a tweet, it pumps and then he dumped it on people. I'm sure Elon did that as well, right? So man, like it's a terrible, you know, like I know he holds Bitcoin. I know Tesla's accepting Bitcoin now, but dude, like it's unforgivable, man. He wrecked people that couldn't afford to lose that money.
Yeah, no, he sucks. He totally sucks. Sovereign Stoic, you have anything before I move to the next one?
Yeah, just echo what you guys were saying. You know what? Like, how many times have we seen this? The guys that haven't done the work, they just don't get it, right? So for example, yeah, Elon's the smartest guy in the world. He's building all these things. The rockets are going to Mars. He's explicitly stated that his purpose in life is to gather resources here on Earth to create life in an interplanetary species on Mars, right? He doesn't really care about extending a life here on Earth. He just wants to leave this planet, right? And like 2017 called and wants their FUD back. Like he's thinking Doge can scale on a base layer by having bigger blocks. And he thinks that Bitcoin should have bigger blocks to increase transaction throughput. Like, has he ever heard of the Lightning Network? Has he ever read Layered Money by Nick Badia? Does he even understand the theory behind sound money and how Bitcoin is a settlement layer and how it's going to actually provide a pristine store of value asset on a base layer to move civilization forward? So no, he builds rockets and he's smart. And he also goes on Twitter and to meme and have fun because he's a billionaire and he likes to make jokes and have fun. But like you guys say, he doesn't actually consider the fact that his memes and his jokes have real consequences for the people who haven't done the work. And that's losing their entire life savings when they YOLO into Doge at the top and then watch the rug get pulled out.
Absolutely.
Man, killed it. Absolutely right.
Killed it. So Phil, what's the next meme?
All right, check it out.
Phil, what's the next fail, Phil? What's the next fail?
It's interesting that you say this, Nico. It's interesting that you say what's the next meme because it's actually Bitcoinator that tagged us in a daily fail, and this is what he posted for us.
Oh, I like that.
Very nice of him, yes.
I like that.
So he knows what we're looking for, and lo and behold, what do we have here? International Monetary Fund Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva says,
"Don't say that word. I'm going to beep it out. Say something else." Christina Georgieva says, "Jabbing the world will help ensure."
Jabbing the world will help ensure that higher inflation stays temporary. I didn't realize that we couldn't say that word. I thought it was the other word that we couldn't say.
Dude, they're just getting worse. Anyways.
They're just getting worse? Holy crap. Okay. So IMF chief says that more beep can help tame inflation. Okay. So that's right, guys. I want you to think about that. That can help tame inflation. I want you to think about that. Doesn't make sense? It doesn't. What? Go ahead.
I also want to say, guys, we're not anti...
No.
Jab on simply
That's
Bitcoin.
Right.
You know, you have the right to, choose what you want to put into your body or what you not want to put into your body, just to specify. Phil, continue.
That is exactly right. Okay. So, but I want you to think about that statement, right? What that statement really has to do with inflation. Here we go. International Monetary Fund Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva said that the world will help ensure that higher inflation proves temporary and expressed concern that the growth gap between advanced and emerging economies could spur social unrest. How does one thing have anything to do with the other? Has nothing to do with money printing. Nothing. This is insane. The fact that anybody would print this, like, think about that. Like, it sickens me. Like, even like, let's say you're the printer, like at some point somebody just has to have integrity and say, you know what, I can't print this shit. I'm sorry, I'm quitting and I'm done with this. Like, I can't do it. I bet if everybody actually walked away from like the fiat brainwashing crap that, that we end up doing every single day, people would wake up. All right, let's keep going. To push inflation back down, Georgieva urged a focus on reducing this divergence. Okay, you got to jab the world so we can see production everywhere stepping up. So that's what this is, people. Okay? This is somehow ruining production. So keep in mind, okay? Don't pay attention to the fact that automation has taken over the majority of production. Okay? Pay no attention to that. What's really important is that everybody gets this done to curb inflation. If the divergence continues, we're going to see more unrest, Georgieva said in an interview Tuesday with Bloomberg Television's Francine Lacqua from the COP26 conference in Glasgow, reiterating widespread jabs against, can't say it, as a solution. Supply chain disruptions are likely to extend into mid-2022 or beyond, which is putting upward pressure on prices, and central banks are already starting to take action against inflation. Separately, Georgieva faces employee discontent at the IMF following allegations that she improperly influenced data in China's favor while at the World Bank in 2017. Very interesting. So, wonder who she really works for, right?
Dude.
Wonder who's really, who's really paying her. And this is one of the main issues with all of this garbage. So I just want to, everyone should point out, like, if they're sitting to themselves and saying, well, Phil, that was complete nonsense. Well, you're absolutely right. That was complete nonsense. What I just read to you was total crap. None of that made any sense whatsoever. And this goes to show how much they've run out of bullets. That's it. They've completely run out. And at this point, you're listening to Fantasyland stories where people are reading this to you and you say, that doesn't make any freaking sense. Because it doesn't. Nico?
So you guys know how I feel about communists. First of all, she went to the Karl Marx Institute. Okay, she's taking, that's the first thing. Okay, so she's a commie. Okay, number one. Number two, dude, this is a total misdirection play, right? You saw Biden. We played you the video yesterday, essentially blaming inflation on companies, saying it's companies that are price gouging, right? You saw Yellen saying that the infrastructure bill is going to cost zero, right? You see the constant mainstream media blaming the inflation on, the sickness that's currently taking the world and the supply chains, right? Supply chains. But none of them mention the record amount of money printing. It's a misdirection play. They've run out of excuses. Inflation is getting out of hand. And dude, this is desperation. They don't know how else to spin it. And you have to understand, guys, all of these people are not stupid. They're highly educated individuals, which makes it that much worse. They don't have any other excuses. These are the best excuses they can come up with. And then they use the fiat propaganda arm to kind of give legitimacy to these excuses. But it's a total clown world. Everyone knows they're lying, right? Like, listen, the price at the pump doesn't lie, right? It doesn't lie, right? Anyways, Sovereign Stoic, what are your thoughts?
You know what, man? You want to take that one level higher? There was news the other day that the Bank of Canada was saying that the hyperinflationary scenarios experienced by Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Lebanon, starting in Turkey, guess what they blamed it on? Climate change. Okay?
What?
So we're going from the C word and the P word and the V word now into the climate change narrative, which they're blaming inflation now on that, right? So show me the incentives and I'll show you the outcomes, right? So who are these people? These are the central bank spokespeople who are incentivized to, what's their sole purpose on this earth? Is to create money out of thin air, to create money out of nothing, to create more fiat debt in order to keep the train rolling. If they said, no, we actually need to stop printing money, oh, well, they wouldn't have any jobs anymore. There's no purpose for their existence, right? So obviously they're incentivized to spit out whatever rhetoric enables them to keep the current power structure in place, right? So I put out a tweet yesterday. Just like, people, do your own research. If anyone read the history books, they would realize that this is the exact same rhetoric that the established power structure has been spitting out since time immemorial. Okay, so read about the fall of the Roman Empire. Read When Money Dies about the Weimar hyperinflation in 1923. Read The Creature from Jekyll Island about why the central bank was even created in the first place. Read The Fourth Turning to realize the cycles, the generational cycles that we're going through right now. Read Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand to realize the horrible effects that socialism actually has on the production of a society, and the very real effects that it has on the mental psyche of a society as well, right? So stop listening to mainstream media. Do your own research, guys. That's all I would say.
Absolutely. And just to add, because you know my how much I despise communists, Phil, read the Gulag Archipelago if you really want to know. Read a real life story of. I'll just leave it at that. But anyways, Phil.
Solzhenitsyn, man.
Yeah, man. No, and he has an incredible quote, right? Which is, I think it's very reminiscent of the times that we're going through right now, which is, we know they're lying. They know they're lying. They know we know they're lying, and they're lying anyways. But anyways, Phil, it's time for the Daily Meme Review, sponsored by... The Meme Review is brought to you by Citadel 21. It's the best Bitcoin cultural zine. It's news by plebs, for plebs. Get yourself a physical copy. There's only 1,000 made per volume. Check out how cool the artwork is. Citadel21.com. All right, everybody, let's get to the Meme Review. The first meme is brought to us by Big Sean Harris. Get it right, Bitcoin. I killed a man, and you? I said CSW was Satoshi. It's the big guy moving away. Absolutely hilarious. Brought to us by fellow plead Rabenstein. Bitcoin Twitter is the marketing team for Bitcoin. Always has been. Incredible meme. Next one by said Yuglegman. Amazing. Excuse me. He hosts an amazing podcast. You work for your money, and they print it out of nothing in the process of devaluing your money. Then they claim you owe them a portion of your money, and you think society would collapse without them. I just want to zoom in on that. And that's exactly, it's true. And this is why memes are so effective. Last one is by Bitcoin Meme Library. Inside a Bitcoiner's mind. Did you hear anything I just said? Time is money. Bitcoin is time. Bitcoin is money. Of course. I'm guilty of that. Sorry, Sophie.
Yeah.
I hope you see this. And for that, I found a plantain chip in my chair, and that's what I'm going to give it. An old plantain chip, and I'm going to... Phil?
Dude, an old plantain chip. Surprisingly, those taste pretty good. Look, those were epic memes. Love them all. And you know what? I'm going with, maybe it's an unconventional score, but this is a Sandmaster hacky sack. That's right. Sorry, it's a Sandmaster foot bag. If you really want to be scientific about it.
What about you, Sovereign Stoic? What would you give those memes?
Those memes were pretty good. I mean, there was no hash rate money memes in there, but I'm gonna give it a solid green on the 4-color Bic pencil.
Ooh,
pen.
Incredible scores, dude. Yeah.
So hold on, I want to point something out about Sovereign Stoic's score. People, old people like me in their 40s know that pen is very meaningful, because when we were kids, there were no iPhones, okay? If you were in a class and you pulled out that pen, everybody knew that you meant business.
Phil, you're not that old, because I had those pens and I felt exactly the same way.
Everybody has those pens, but I'm just saying, it's like back then it was the coolest thing. Like today, you pull out an iPhone. Like it's like kids, like back then, like there was no, like nobody was gonna one up you with that pen back then.
It's
Today,
true.
Everyone one ups you. Like you pull out that pen and you're just like, get away.
The only pen you'll ever need.
Yeah,
it's true.
They don't get it. They don't get the power of that pen.
It's true, but all you guys are all wrong, because I gave it an old plantain chip. But anyways, guys, do you agree with our scores? Do you disagree? Let us know down in the comments. And of course, join our Telegram group. Link us some Bitcoin memes to review, because of Bitcoin meme review. But anyways, Phil, it's time for the Daily News, sponsored by... The Daily News is brought to you by Crypto Cloaks. get yourself the best 3D printed Bitcoin grenade art. Super cool. Take advantage of the link down below for 5% off. All right, everybody, this was massive, massive news. But don't get too excited. I'll get to that in a second. Australia's largest bank to integrate Bitcoin services in app. Australia's largest bank will allow its customers to buy, sell, and hold Bitcoin starting next year. I highlighted this part, and I'll get to it in a second. Commonwealth Bank's customer base of 6.5 million people represent over 25% of Australia's total population. Now, this is why I highlighted this part. It's unclear whether customers will be able to withdraw their Bitcoin to an external wallet. So you know how it is. Then they fight you stage, and then they win. We're still entering, then they fight you, then they win. I think this is still then they fight you, and let me tell you why. I think banks have realized that you can't stop the honey badger. So what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to custody your Bitcoin, right? So they're going to say, hey, you have Bitcoin on your balance sheet. You're taking advantage of your Bitcoin. We know PayPal tried. They failed because they had a competitor like Cash App allowing withdrawals. So PayPal had to bend the knee, allow withdrawals, right? But when banks get into this, man, there's nothing. Don't get excited because at the end of the day, they're offering paper Bitcoin to their clients. I'm only going to get excited if they allow withdrawals. And that is going to be an attack vector because so many people are not comfortable with self-custody. And I think if there was like a list of of the worst possible scenarios, I think holding your Bitcoin on an exchange is number 2, and holding your Bitcoin in a bank is number 1, right? So anyways, it's really interesting. That's a huge portion of Australia. That's a big, big, big win, but only if they allow to take self-custody. Phil?
Oh man, you hit the nail on the head. You know, the banks don't really know how to provide value because currently in the current system, they, you know, as you know, they provide credit products. Like when you're a good customer of the bank, it's not because you hold a lot of money with the bank. It's because you're good at using their credit products. Okay, so when you hold a lot of money in the bank, that lets them reach out to you. You know, that gives them the clue to reach out to you in order to sell you their credit products. So let's fast forward here into this type of scenario, Bitcoin. Okay, that credit product is not needed. Okay, so now they're going to have to figure out a way to provide value in this scenario. So what they need to do, since let's be honest, there's very little value that they can actually provide. So the value that they can provide is create the narrative and the illusion that they are required, and not only that they're required, but that they're safer. So don't get me wrong, as these institutions continue to lose the battle, you can expect, I would start to expect more incidents of certain type of news being perpetrated, you know, about individuals losing their balances and how it's much safer in those institutions. You can start to expect to see, you know, the typical propaganda machine, you know, churning out the numbers, right? Telling you, you know, how like the majority of so-and-so wealthy individuals start to hold their money in custody. And look, it's all a giant charade. The same thing that they do right now with stocks, right? They've convinced everybody that you can't possibly figure out how to buy and hold stocks on your own. So
you have to outsource it. What do you think? What do you think, Sovereign Stoic?
Let me tell you guys. So Michael Saylor started off the institutional acceptance of Bitcoin back in 2020 when he was the first publicly traded company to put Bitcoin on the balance sheet, right? So now, yeah, great for adoption, but like you guys say, what is the attack vector here? If the debt-based fiat economy and then the rent-seeking middlemen of Wall Street are allowed to custody your Bitcoin, what are they going to do? Exactly what Nico said. They're going to create paper products, derivatives, leverage on top of that in order to create more debt in the system. Because believe it or not, in this insane fiat-based, debt-based monetary system that we live under, the only way money is created is if more debt is issued to the citizens, plebs like you and me. So if they have to increase our debt load, increase our debt slavery in order to continue their rent-seeking middleman ways, right? Bitcoin, custody your Bitcoin, take it off exchanges, don't let anyone else hold it so that they can't rehypothecate it. And that way we're opting out of this debt-based system. And that's what I'm here for.
Absolutely. Amen to that.
Yeah.
Well, Phil, guess what? Another Simply Bitcoin We Told You So moment. The Bitcoin game theory is playing out before our eyes. Check this out. Yesterday we covered, or a couple days ago, we covered Aaron Rodgers, which is a huge NFL player, one of the best quarterbacks ever, and he accepts, part of his salary in Bitcoin, right? This is the game theory, baby. It's playing out. World's biggest podcaster, Joe Rogan, accepts Bitcoin payment. Super, super crazy. And check this out, how he phrased it. Remember, the devil's into details. He said on his podcast, it's not American money, American money. You get that? It's not dollars. It's not dollars. He called it, it's not American money, brushing off his fellow comics antics. It's all in Bitcoin. Oof. Oof. Okay, moving on. It's not only Joe Rogan. Mayor of Miami, which is kind of a shitcoiner, but it's funny because here's the signal. Did he accept his full payment in Miami coin? No. He accepted his full payment in Bitcoin. Miami Francis Suarez will take the entirety of his next paycheck in Bitcoin. I'm going to take my next paycheck 100% in Bitcoin, tweeted Suarez. Suarez moves marks a first in U.S. politics. Remember what I told you about the game theory, ladies and gentlemen? When that happened, New York mayor-elect to take first 3 paychecks. He wanted to updo Suarez. Not one, the first 3 in Bitcoin. NYC Mayor Eric Adams will take his first 3 paychecks in Bitcoin. The move comes in response to Miami Mayor's announcement 2 days before, saying it only took 2 days. Again, this is the game theory of Bitcoin, right? You don't want to be left behind. One of Bitcoin's most essential characteristics, game theory, has begun playing out at the U.S. political level. Right? So this is playing out in the mining level, which we have Sovereign Stoic to talk about. Soon as China banned Bitcoin mining, everyone just picked it up. Why? Because the incentives of Bitcoin. You're seeing the incentives of Bitcoin play out. And I want you to pay attention to the Joe Rogan signal there, because Joe Rogan is one of the largest, the largest podcaster ever. And he called the dollar American money. And he called Bitcoin just Bitcoin. And like I've said in a couple tweets, remember, the dollar is the state's money. Bitcoin is your money. Phil?
So Suarez is a typical, and I don't know how he did it so quickly, but he is a typical I love Bitcoin, buy this shitcoin scammer.
Well, he gets paid in Bitcoin, so...
No, I know, but that's my point. So he gets paid in Bitcoin, but he's telling everyone else to buy this freaking shitcoin to help the city. Like, I'm sorry, like that's a total fail. That guy sucks. Okay, like I mean, good for him. I mean, look, I'm proud of him that he's smart enough to take some money in Bitcoin, right? I'm proud of him for that, but I'm ashamed of him for shilling a shitcoin. He should just be honest and figure out how to make Bitcoin work for the city, instead of shilling some shitcoin. But he understands the incentives of the fiat system and the shitcoining, and he knows that that's a way easier sell to, his fellow Keynesians. Anyways, what else besides Suarez?
Joe Rogan, New York mayor, the game theory playing out.
Okay, yeah, the game theory playing out. Okay, so Joe Rogan, I mean, that's kind of like... That's a big hit, right? The fact that he specifically said American money, like that's really not... That's not good. That draws attention to it again. So I think that, like you said, he's the biggest podcaster. I mean, that is huge signal. And you know what? When people actually sit down, they put their biases aside, they actually take a look at Bitcoin. And if they're able to understand innovation and able to understand how their time and their money works, they understand that Bitcoin is the only it is. That's why we say Bitcoin is inevitable. Because once you understand how the money works and how your time works, you're like, uh-oh, I'm late.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not late. We all feel late. We were all late. I was late in 2016. The guy in 2013 was late. The guy in 2011 was late. We're all freaking late, okay?
Don't worry, guys. Everyone feels like you do. We all feel like we don't have enough Bitcoin. Stoic, what are your thoughts on all this?
Don't listen to what they say. Watch what they do. So what is he doing? He's taking his payment. He may be selling Miami coin, but he's taking his salary in Bitcoin. And this is exactly what all the shitcoiners do as well. They pump and dump their altcoins and they settle and stack Bitcoin because they know that Bitcoin is already the reserve currency of the digital future. It's the reserve currency of the internet. It's the reserve currency of any sovereign individual. Their goal is to stack more Bitcoin as well. Yeah, and it's horrible. Their incentives, they're allowed to take advantage of other people to pump and dump their stuff, but they're all getting paid out in Bitcoin, and that should tell you something, right?
Absolutely. It tells you everything. It tells you everything, right? And it's so funny because, Phil, we cover this all the time on the Daily Fail, right? All these shitcoin scammers, you have to understand, shitcoins are designed to steal your Bitcoin away from you. Because all the developers, where do you think they keep their money in? In Bitcoin, right? So while you buy their shitcoin, they keep the Bitcoin, right? So anyways, really
more Bitcoin too.
Everyone wants more Bitcoin. And remember this lesson, guys. Everyone is a scammer. Everyone wants your Bitcoin. Don't give it to them. That being said, Phil, there was an open source software release today. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Software releases. Software Releases is brought to you by CipherSafe.io. Help you protect your Bitcoin from various modes of failure. Check out the link down below in the show notes. All right, everyone, we've got BTC PayServer version 1.3.1. That's right. If you want to be a sovereign individual, sovereign business, and you want to accept Bitcoin and Lightning payments, you want to check out BTC PayServer. Check it out down below in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. Before we go, I want to give a shout out to our awesome guest, which I totally did not recognize when he came in here. And then he's like, bro, we did a Spaces together. And I'm like, dude, this guy's a legend. You have to join his Spaces. He hosts them a couple times a week. He has some of the best miners in there. If you want to learn about mining, definitely join his Spaces. You can go give him a follow on Twitter, Sovereign Stoic, and I can't pronounce his handle, so I'm gonna butcher it, but I'm gonna put it down the link in the link below. Azuanhos. Anyways, Sovereign Stoic and Azuanhos. The link's down below. Join it. Join his Spaces. A lot of mining signal there. But anyways, guys, that was our show. If you enjoyed this show, smash that like button. And of course, if you want to continue hearing the Bitcoin news from the people perspective and the catastrophic fails, definitely consider subscribing to Simply Bitcoin, and we will see you tomorrow.
Inflation and jabs have nothing to do with each other.